to the Movies to Watch Before You Die podcast. My name is Gab.
You didn't even point to me or nothing. My name is Dylan. I'm the co-host.
Do I need to point to you? We've done this like 33 times.
I like it. You know what? I like it. I like when I go, I'm Dylan and this is, and you give a point.
Jesus Christ. All right. Should we start again?
No, that's fine.
Oh my God.
This is a perfect, if this was your first episode, this was a perfect introduction.
Yeah, this is basically how it's going to go. All right, listen, I have had a day. It has been one fucking thing after another. And so I am so excited to talk about a fabulous, heartwarming, top to bottom, A+ film. But first, why should people listen to us talk about this wonderful film, Dylan? Why?
Well, Gab, you listen to me because I'm a fan of movies just like you are. And also because I did happen to go to film school and I was a former video editor. And Gab, well, why do they listen to you?
Well, Dylan, I was at one point an actress. I have a bachelor's degree in acting. I don't know why I can't spit these words out today. I am fluent in the language of character development, script analysis, and storytelling. So, therefore, I believe that we are bona fide experts.
I said bona fides one time and I was made fun of it for like 15 minutes.
By whom?
Zach. My brother.
Yeah, that's amazing. Hi, yeah. Zach. I didn't know Zach listened to this.
He doesn't.
Oh, okay. That's fair. All right. So anyway, we today are talking about oh no, I didn't look up what year it is. No, let me guess. All right. Fuck you.
This
episode's off to a great start. 1998 classic starring Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan, and Dave Chappelle. This is You've Got Mail.
Yes. So I'm going to talk about what You Got Mail is about now.
Yeah, Dylan, tell the people what this is about. Don't piss me off while you're doing it.
What's this all been about? What am I working toward?
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to.
You Got Mail is about, first of all, as 90s as it can be. This is firmly set in the 90s with the dial-up and everything. People who are having an email exchange that happen to also just be within like 500 feet of each other at all times. Like they don't know that they're having this romantic interaction online while in person they're actually business competitors. Yeah.
So they met in a chat room and exchanged email addresses. Remember the days of the chat room? We used to get in trouble in chat rooms.
I remember AIM fondly.
Yeah. They met in a chat room, they exchanged email addresses, they speak to one another anonymously, and in the process begin to fall in love, but do not know that they are actually business adversaries. And Tom Hanks's character, Joe Fox, owns the Fox bookstore, which is, akin to a Borders or a Barnes & Noble. And Meg Ryan's character, Kathleen
Kelly.
Kathleen Kelly, thank you. Owns a brick and mortar children's bookstore in the same neighborhood, the Upper West Side of Manhattan, that will be very quickly out of business once the Fox store opens. So they try to save their store, there's picketing, etc. And we will get to, I guess, spoilers in the next segment.
Yes, there's going to be a bevy of spoilers. Before we get to the next segment, let's give the more official IMDb plot summary.
There we go.
Book superstore magnate Joe Fox and independent bookshop owner Kathleen Kelly fall in love in the anonymity of the internet, both blissfully unaware that he's trying to put her out of business.
There's a question mark?
No, I just feel like that's how it should be said.
Fair. Like Dave Chappelle?
There should be more plot summaries with question marks in them.
Yeah, agreed.
Titanic, the boat that's unsinkable is sinking?
What if Titanic were recut to be a comedy?
I'd laugh.
Yeah, that's got to exist somewhere.
I do always laugh and I feel bad about it. At the very end, I don't know why. It's like the only thing that stands out in my mind about the movie, besides nudity, because I was a child, is the guy who's falling and he hits one of the smokestacks on the way down. And it was like, oh, like it felt like it belonged on America's Funniest Home Videos a little bit. I was like, okay. So now that I've talked about my delight at that man's death, let's go over the taglines for You've Got Mail.
All right, let's do it.
Someone you pass on the street may already be the love of your life.
Oh, I like that. Yes.
There's another one that I like too. At odds in life, in love online.
There's a question mark, or did you add that?
No, I mean, I'm just gonna start adding question marks everywhere. At odds in life, ellipses, in love online.
Okay, I like the first one better.
Yeah, I like the first one better now too.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm thrilled to talk about this movie. So let's get to, first of all, did we leave anything out in the plot that we need to address for somebody who maybe hasn't seen this movie? I guess we should say that they're both in what I would call like pretty unhappy relationships with other people while they're having these online chats.
Yes. Which I did find out that this is based on a play and previous movies in which the characters were single. So I was a little bit like, why do they have to be in relationships? But I think we can talk about their relationships more in our next segment.
Opinion time.
See, I pointed to you. That's how you know when it's time to go.
Shut up.
In this critic's opinion,
that's just like your opinion, man.
Well, I have a right to my opinion, and my opinion is you have no right to your opinion.
So they were both in relationships, which, again, full spoilers, both their partners like do suck, and they do a good job of showing me that they suck. They don't go over the top with like, he's horribly rude to her or anything like that, but they just go on to show you enough that it's like they're not in love with each other. But the whole time I was like, they don't need to be in relationships, and it just feels like they're cheating on their partners for no reason.
Yeah, but I think there's something to that, and here's why. When you are in a relationship that is just not right? Like it doesn't, like nobody has to be the villain. You're just not right for each other. And obviously, like, I think her boyfriend finds somebody, right? I'm sorry, hold on, let me backtrack. The boyfriend of Kathleen Kelly and the girlfriend of Joe Fox like kind of start flirting and like have a little thing, right?
A little bit. He's very flattered by the fact that she reads his articles when they, again, this is before, like, I watched it with Giselle and I wrote down the comments that she made while we were watching it just because I loved some of them. So I'm going to read some of those at some point. But there was this thing where they don't know who each other are online, but they have started running into each other. They happen to be at the same party. And that's how they end up meeting, because they're with their respective boyfriends and girlfriends. And yeah, it was just, that's when she finds out who he is in the sense of he's going to put her out of business, that type of thing. But she has no idea that she's also been talking to this man online semi-romantically. And I think the reason that, when I think about it now, the reason that they have to kind of have those boyfriend and girlfriend is otherwise, why wouldn't they have just met up by this point?
Right. Well, and I also think that when you're in a relationship with somebody who isn't right for you, and then you start talking to somebody who is right for you, it just makes it so much more clear that they're the right person for you. Like you have that comparison where it's like, I've been living with this person and not necessarily like in the same apartment, but I've been like in a relationship with this person for so long, and it's just what I'm used to. And now there's somebody who actually understands me, who listens to me, who I can talk to. And it's just like, holy crap, you're the person for me, not this person. And I think if you're single, maybe you're kind of like, there's a little bit more room to doubt.
Yeah, I do think I also appreciate that, they don't end up cheating on their boyfriends or girlfriends. They do sort of just, they have very mature conversations at some point, especially Frank and Kathleen, who are just like, I'm not in love with you. I'm not in love with you either. And they're like, you know what? Maybe it's for the best. I'm like, I wrote it down at some point. I was like, this is the most amicable breakup I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
Like you do not see that, because it's not very entertaining. It's just like, oh, but it does totally move the story forward in this case.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, my most recent breakup was very similar to that.
Just super amicable?
I mean, I don't think it's ever like 100% amicable, but there was definitely a lot of like, well, if I'm not happy and you're not happy, what the fuck are we doing? We should just not, why are we doing this?
And that's pretty much the exact conversation that they have in the movie.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh my God, you're unhappy too. Oh, I'm so relieved. So
let me read you the first Giselle comment that I have here.
Okay.
So she wasn't like paying 100% attention, but she was like very much, in it with me at different times. And she goes, I had it paused for a brief moment. She goes, I'm 8 minutes in and they've passed each other on the streets and I'm in it. This is a movie to watch before you die. And the music bops because it's a very 90s soundtrack.
Yes, I agree.
Cut to a few minutes later, she went, is that Dave Chappelle? ew, not a movie to watch before you die.
Oh my god.
So Giselle was very much roller coastering at times.
Yeah.
And Dave Chappelle, I don't like very much as a person anymore, but I did like him in the movie, particularly when it's it's a moment that I thought was going to come more towards the end, but it turns out that it's much more of, I guess, a midpoint of the movie when they are supposed to meet face to face finally. And because Joe is the one who is arriving later, Joe sees that he gets there and he says that she's going to have a book and a rose, and he's with Kevin, who's played by Dave Chappelle, and he tells Kevin to look first. And Kevin's like, she's very much a Kathleen Kelly type because he knows who she is. And Tom Hanks is like, okay, well, she's good looking. And she's like, yeah, but if you don't like Kathleen Kelly, you're not going to really like her. And he's like, well, what does Kathleen Kelly have to do? And he's like, well, it's her. Like, but he just made this face at the immediate moment where it was just like such a like, uh-oh type face. And I do think that I felt very surprised because it sort of turns into an early version of Catfishing afterwards. Much of the movie felt very catfishy, and both Giselle and I pointed it out, which leads me to Giselle comment number 3. So she goes, "You've Got Mail really is just the OG Catfish. You've Got Mail 2 featuring Neve and Cammy, produced by MTV. You've got DMs."
That's amazing. Yeah. There's definitely like a level of this story does not work anymore. It just simply doesn't work anymore. There's no way that it could work because there's no more I always get embarrassed when I say this word. Anonymity.
Anonymity?
Anonymity, thank you.
Look who sounds stupid now.
Well, it's exactly the same as defibrillator, right? Like, I don't know. Just if you say it fast enough,
we're not all laughing at Dylan going Requiescat cat in peace anymore, are we?
No, we're still laughing at Dylan saying badge and beauty.
Oh, get past it. Oh, wait.
So,
well, I'm sorry. Go on.
So anyway, it wouldn't work. Right? It wouldn't work in today's day and age. It definitely, I will say this, and we can go along further with this maybe in a little bit, but before we watched this movie, Corey watched this with me. Before we turned it on, I Googled it just to see what the running time was, which I do frequently, so I know what I'm in for. And an article came up saying, like, You've Got Mail is a horror story about a man who gaslights a woman and ruins her business or something. And I thought to myself, oh my God, is this movie going to be so disappointing? Am I going to be horrified by the way that he treats her, by the things that he does? Is this a movie that's been canceled? Like, what the hell? And then it was not nearly that bad at all.
Well, I would say, Gab, if this was not Tom Hanks, he would be I'm going to curse. I can curse. It's my show.
You can curse.
He would
it's
be
our
a
podcast.
Fucking monster. Because not only does he, we already said spoilers, but spoiling the shit out of this, not only does he fully run her out of business, then he finds out that she does have romantic feelings for him online, but not in reality. So he finds a way to be her friend in reality while he can slowly groom her into liking the real him more so that he can then reveal it is actually him. Like, this is full on, like, he catfishes and gaslights her, but because he's Tom Hanks and he's America's goddamn sweetheart, it works. Like, I will say, it's the most charming cast. Everybody in this movie is like absolutely charming. The least charming person is Greg Kinnear, who's normally a very likable actor.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, you're not charming me at all. But like, meanwhile, you've got like Edith Bunker from All in the Family. You've got
that's Edith Bunker.
Yeah, Gene Stapleton.
Holy shit, I didn't know that.
Cheryl from Miss Congeniality.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Zahn, who if anybody listened to the That Thing You Do episode, I got love for Steve Zahn.
Yeah.
Steve Zahn.
Yeah.
Steve Zahn can do no wrong.
I mean, it's but here's the thing. He like I think there's a part of the movie when she realizes that she has to close the store, and it was her mother's store, so it's very sentimental. Her mother is no longer with us. Requiescat in pace.
Requiescat in pace? I think I fucked it up again anyway, but whatever.
You keep saying Scott, like Scotty is somehow in there.
Requiescat in pace.
Exactly. But at some point, she and Edith Bunker, whose character's name I cannot recall.
Yes. That's her name.
They have a conversation where it's like, if the books, if this didn't happen, you would just continue to do the thing you've always done. But now you have an opportunity to go out there and see what else is in store for you. And she winds up like getting an offer to be an editor for a publishing company. And then she starts writing her own children's book. Like, I think it does sort of do a good job of being like, you're just doing this because it's what you've only ever known. But now you have an opportunity to spread your wings and fly.
The movie does a lot of work to tell you that the events that happen in it are not terrible, and the person who Tom Hanks is not awful. First, he has an adorable dog named Brinkley.
Yes, Brinkley.
Brinkley's such a good boy.
Such a good boy. 10 out of 10.
Yes, bonus points for Brinkley.
Brinkley's played by 2 different dogs.
Really?
Yeah, at the end it said like something and something. Two different boys. Yeah, both good boys.
Good for both of them.
Babies.
Meg Ryan's character, they do just like give her a bunch of opportunities. They have her throw in like, oh yeah, I've saved a bunch of money. They have Gene Stapleton's character goes, and by the way, I'm actually really rich. So I'm like, so were you just here for fun? Like, is this just something for you to do? Like, she literally has an offhanded line where she's like, I'm loaded. I'm like, okay. They have Tom Hanks say that George is working in the Fox store and that he's like doing so great in the children's section. And they have a scene that I was waiting to see if it would really be necessary, but it's really not. Joe could have just been in her store, scoping out the competition, seeing what their store is like. Instead, we have him there with 2 children who are delightful kids. The youngest boy just learned how to spell fox, which is actually a joke that I really liked when she's like, can you spell dog? And he goes, F-O-X. And like, he just keeps doing it.
Yeah.
But there's, the children are really just to make him seem better that he's so good to these kids, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's, the classic save the cat thing that they have in scripts sometimes where it's like, you just got to keep showing that character do good things so I know they're a good person, because he is like, it's not personal, it's just business. And he is just, he destroys her. He essentially ruins her life, which is again why we have an offhanded line of her saying, well, I've got some money saved. And it's like, I guess.
I just feel like, oh God, like, I don't know. Why can't he be a good person? And also like, because we should mention too that he is Joe Fox of Fox Books, but Fox Books belongs to his father and his grandfather. Like, he inherited this. It's not, he didn't do it. It's not his fault. I'm sure he didn't choose to put the store right on the corner. Like, it just,
he's very much okay with it. Like, he had no like, people are saying, Dave Chappelle's character literally says, you could be okay putting this like blonde white lady on food stamps out in the projects, and he's like, it's not personal, it's just business. He's like, I don't give a shit. Like, Tom Hanks in his delightful Tom Hanks charm makes it work. But if it was anyone else, it was like, I'll destroy this woman, I don't care. Like, it's just because he's Tom Hanks that we're like, it's fine.
Oh, but I love him so much.
I do. You know what, he just has that quality about him. And I kept thinking of the line from the Simpsons movie where he's making an announcement for the government. He says, the government has lost its credibility, so it's borrowing some of mine. I'm Tom Hanks. Like, it's just like, you know what? Tom Hanks, guy can't do anything wrong. He really can't.
It's true. Oh God. I will say this. I feel like the movie wasn't as romantic as I remember, because there's very pleasant exchanges between the two of them. They're discussing their days. They're giving, advice. But there's never like a holy shit moment where they just like fall in love. There's no big romantic gesture. It's just,
I'm sorry, go on.
I don't know.
There's only one moment like that, I feel like.
What, the end?
The very end, which is like my least favorite moment, which sucks because it's the very end, but like, it's just a line from Meg Ryan that I'm just like, oh.
What, I wanted it to be you?
Yes. He, again, he's been grooming her in the most delightful, charming Tom Hanks way, but he's been like slowly trying to make himself seem better. And I really did appreciate the fact that he, as himself, without, because he says that they're going to meet, he's kind of giving her advice to talk to the online version of him. And then he knows that she's planning to meet with him, the online version, later that day. And he's giving her advice and he's helping her. And at the very end, he says, I wish that business hadn't gone in the way. I wish that things had been different, that I could have just, taken you out. And like, he really does try to just And how does she say no? Because he's Tom Hanks with his delightful charm. But he tries to just tell her how he actually feels for her, because he knows all these things, all these feelings that they do share for each other that she doesn't realize. And she knows she's supposed to meet up with this guy. So she kind of just, she doesn't really say no, but she certainly doesn't accept. Then when she is there, you hear somebody call for Brinkley, which we know it's Tom Hanks, and the dog is off leash, just running up to her, which also feels very 90s, because you can't have a dog off leash in New York anywhere.
Certain hours.
Is that true?
Yeah. Like early in the morning, you can.
But the dog's running up, and he walks up, and she should be like, well, I'll read the Giselle comment for this, but she should be more upset than she is, but she just, with a tear in her eye, in a delightful, charming Meg Ryan way, because god damn it, they are both delightful and charming.
Yep.
She says, I so wanted it to be you, right? Is that what the line was?
He says, don't cry, shop girl, which was her username. Don't cry, shop girl. And she says, I wanted it to be you. I wanted it to be you so badly.
That's what it is. By the way, she totally would have been like shop girl 100001. There's no way shop girl is available.
I don't know.
Giselle went, how's she gonna trust this man? He lied to her. Because he does, like, he lies for what feels like it's got to be a long amount of time, because we know that they both break up with their girlfriend and boyfriends for a good amount of time, but then they are just like, he's slow playing this, like, I don't want to keep calling it grooming, because that sounds so malicious, because there's obviously no malicious intent behind it, and he's not doing anything nefarious. He's just befriending her, but it is just like he's trying to set her up. He played it like a business deal. He softened her up so that he could strike when she was at her most vulnerable, Gab.
But don't you feel like he was using their relationship online to, like, get to know her better, because he knew there was no way she was going to agree to talk to him after everything went down? Like,
Absolutely.
He really wanted to have a fair shot at getting to know her. And I think it's even more important to note that once he knew that she was his adversary, like once he saw through the window that it was actually her that he had been talking to, like, he didn't want to. He knew that if he went up to her and was like, hey, I'm the guy, that she'd be like, go fuck yourself. I'm not talking to you. You just closed my shop down. So he needed to, in order to make the relationship work, get to know her deeper and, like, prolong that.
Yes. And I 1000% agree with that. And he knew that he had feelings for her, and he knew that she had feelings for him. He just knew that she wouldn't be able to have feelings for him with the prior history that, fortunately ends up being able to be swept under the rug, because she's not homeless in the streets. She's got some money saved. She's got a book deal coming up. You know what I mean? Like, if you tweak a little bit of this, it's like he's basically going up to her in a cardboard box on the curb being like, hey, want to take you out for a cup of coffee? You know what I mean?
But I mean, all's well that ends well. If they get married,
yes,
she'll be totally well off, and she can do, like, she's better off than she would have been if the store was still open.
Well, and she's way better off. She moved up. I mean, sure, her dead mother's memories are gone and the store is gone, but she's got money now. This is America, Gab. What are memories worth? A lot less than money.
But also now she's got this whole career and she's able to use her talents.
I will say she does zing him real good a couple times when he comes as Joe when she's waiting for what is he, NYC 152, is that his username?
Yeah, something like that.
So he shows up as Joe and he's like, well, I'll just wait here until your friend gets here, because he knows, like, that motherfucker ain't coming, it's me.
Right.
And she says, instead of a brain, you've got a cash register. Instead of a heart, a bottom line. And I was like, she zinged him. She got him real good.
Yeah.
Then she comes even harder and she's like, you are nothing but a suit. And I was like, damn, get out of here, Tom Hanks. There's no charm to come back from this. It was a moment in this movie that I was like, why is this here?
What?
So she gets stood up and we have every one of, her friends from the shop saying, oh my God, he stood you up. And she does the thing that happens in every episode of Catfish. We were supposed to meet up, but he had car trouble, and like she's coming up with the excuse for him, and all of a sudden Steve Zahn pulls out the newspaper, which the front page is that the rooftop killer, which has never been mentioned before, has been captured and jailed. And he was captured like 2 blocks away from where they were supposed to meet up. And so they immediately go to like, oh my God, it obviously was the rooftop killer that you were going to meet up with. And he had one phone call and he had to call his lawyer, so he couldn't tell you he wasn't coming. And it's like, obviously, that's what happened.
Yeah, but like, it's such a funny moment. I love that moment. I think it's great.
This is a movie that it was just cast so well. I have to give so much credit to the cast because it is just charming, likable characters. Greg Kinnear had another line that I loved. And again, he's probably one of the, besides Joe, he's like the douchiest character. Well, obviously besides Joe's parents.
Yeah.
But he has a line when they're in the movie theater, which I was so shocked and appalled that like they start to have a fight at the movies and they left the movie. I was like, you guys already paid for your tickets. Like, I was like, that's expensive. Sit through the movie. But the woman shushes him and he says, a hot dog is singing. You need quiet while a hot dog is singing.
I love that.
It was such a stupid line that I was like, oh, I'll probably remember that.
Yeah, it's good. Well, Dylan, I want to get to some facts.
I want the truth.
Face the facts, ducks.
Facts have no place with an organized religion.
Let me pull up my handy dandy facts. So, the scene where Joe accidentally closes the door of Kathleen's shop on the balloons was unscripted. Tom Hanks actually did that and ad-libbed the line. Good thing it wasn't the fish. Nora Ephron thought it was so funny, she kept it in.
Love that moment. Love that moment. He's so goddamn charming.
He's just so charming. Oh, damn God. That Tom Hanks.
How do you think it happened? Like, no, we have to acknowledge the sound of his voice is absolutely just like disarming. He's not the most attractive man on the planet. Like he's not a like hot or particularly handsome man, especially like in that era of his life. Like his hairline is receding a little bit. Like, you know,
let's take it easy on Tom Hanks here.
I'm just saying. I mean, I used to have in my like little Facebook, it said like, what's your religion? I wrote Tom Hanks. Like, I fucking love Tom Hanks.
It's just so much. It's just good. He does a good job choosing his roles. He rarely plays a character that you don't love, and he's just very good at being a character that you love.
Right,
you know
but that's
what
I'm saying. Like, how is he so charming? Like, what's his secret?
It's the same way that I feel like Tom Cruise never plays a bad guy.
Tom Cruise is a psycho.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but Tom Cruise knows what roles he wants to play, and he picks that role. You never see Tom Cruise play a bad guy. He is always like your action hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah, remember when he played the producer in Tropic Thunder, though?
Yes, but it's such a small role. I'd say the only time that he's really a bad guy is in the movie Magnolia, but we're going down a Tom Cruise rabbit hole that I don't want to go down.
Anyway.
So before I get to more of like our ratings, let me continue with like the fun facts.
Okay.
The casting of Dave Chappelle as Kevin, Joe's friend and confidant, came about because 4 years earlier, Chappelle was offered the role of Bubba in Forrest Gump, Hank's big blockbuster, which became a worldwide phenomenon. Have you heard of this, Forrest Gump? Chappelle turned down the role of Bubba because he felt Forrest Gump would flop at the box office.
Wow, what an idiot.
Who knew that Dave Chappelle's judgment was not so trustworthy? Yeah, bad choice.
Yeah. I want to say this. I saw Kevin Hart and Chris Rock at MSG. I took Corey in July, and Dave Chappelle came out. It was a surprise. We didn't really know he was going to be there. And wow, has he aged?
He also just went through that period where he got like super buff, and he's still like very muscular now. And it still looks weird to me because seeing him in this movie, I was like, yes, that's what Dave Chappelle looks like.
Yeah, he's so skinny. Also, do you remember that period of time where me, you, and Zach just watched the Chappelle Show so much?
I can't even watch Chappelle's Show anymore. It's ruined for me now.
Oh man, I love him so much. Obviously very upsetting, but yeah, he is old. He is old now. Like, seeing him in this movie, I was like, oh my God, I remember when he was young and handsome and skinny, and now he's just, yeah. And he smokes the whole time. It's like, I know that's like his thing, but I was just like, oh my God, you're not doing yourself any favors, bro. All right, continue.
Okay. In the opening lines of the movie, Frank is describing how the state of Virginia had to have solitaire removed from their computers because they hadn't gotten any work done in 6 weeks. This line is actually based on fact. In December of 94, Governor George Allen of Virginia did in fact order that all video games, specifically Minesweeper, Hearts, and Solitaire, be removed from the state computers because of a concern that state employees were playing these games during office hours and wasting taxpayer dollars.
Interesting.
Little did Frank and Virginia know about social media.
Yeah, wait till the future, buddy.
Like Frank's character, Tom Hanks also collects typewriters.
That I did know.
Yeah. This is the third movie that Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks acted in together, the previous two being Joe versus the Volcano and Sleepless in Seattle.
Both fabulous movies.
Never seen either of them. I did see Nora Ephron, I was watching an interview and she said she was like, Sleepless in Seattle and this movie she called first cousins because they're very thematically similar.
Yeah. Yeah. Sleepless in Seattle, I've decided we're going to do for Valentine's Day.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Both Kathleen and Joe use laptops extensively throughout the movie as their primary means of emailing back and forth. Joe was using an IBM ThinkPad 770 series, which had a retail price of, do you want to give a guess?
Oh my God. $7.99.
$799?
Yes.
$6,999 in 1997 dollars.
What?
Kathleen is using an Apple PowerBook G3 250, which had a list price of, Gab, do you want to give a guess?
I mean, that's got to be $9,000.
You went too far the other way. $5,700 in 1997 dollars, which, considering that she's a small shop owner, probably wouldn't be able to afford that laptop, but it's crazy how expensive laptops were then.
Wow, that's so crazy. You know what else is crazy? I didn't get a laptop until I was going to college because
Same.
my parents were always like, it's too expensive. But like computers weren't that expensive in 2010.
Yeah, that's when we were going to college.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's when I got my first laptop.
No, they had gotten a lot cheaper. I mean, I guess, the technology gets cheaper. It's the same way with TVs, that the technology just got a lot cheaper over time.
Right, but I'm just saying, I think my parents thought that laptops cost the same amount in 2010 that they did in 97.
They were still rolling in those 97 numbers. Big mistake.
Dumbasses. Also, they'll never hear this.
Yeah, dumbasses. We love you, dumbasses.
Kind of, most of the time. Yeah,
Rose,
all right.
Rose, the Zabar's cashier, is played by young Sarah Ramirez from Grey's Anatomy.
Cool. Wow, yeah, I thought I recognized her.
Despite the autumn setting, the movie was shot in the summer, so the green leaves were digitally colored a more seasonal red, which seems ridiculous. But I'm like,
Wow.
how many scenes were there where they had to color leaves? I don't know.
That's like the ultimate fall in New York movie too. Like very like it's you've got mail season. You know what I mean?
I've never heard that before, but I'll take you at your word.
Okay.
Dabney Coleman, who plays Joe's father, Nelson, is also Principal Prickly from the show Recess, for anyone else who remembers that show.
Oh, of course.
Do you really, or are you mocking me?
I remember it because you loved it so much. We used to watch it together.
I did love it. Principal Prickly is hysterical. Nora Ephron, who directed and wrote, was alleged to have said to Tom Hanks, "When you have a hit, every day is like Christmas. When you have a bomb, every day is like Vietnam." Now, I will say it's a very specific quote that I could not find anywhere else, but I did like the quote, "When you have a hit, every day is like Christmas. When you have a bomb, every day is Vietnam."
Yeah, okay. That's good.
Okay, let's go over the ratings. Rotten Tomatoes, on the tomato meter, it has 70%, an average rating of 6.2 out of 10, 62 fresh reviews, and 27 rotten. Audience score is 73%, average score of 3.8 out of 5. IMDb gives this a 6.7 out of 10. Should I get to the reviews next, or should I go over the cast and director a little more?
Cast and director.
Directed by Nora Ephron, who also directed Sleepless in Seattle, Bewitched, and Julie and Julia. Written by Nora and her sister Delia Ephron, who also wrote When Harry Met Sally, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, and the prior movies Nora directed were written by her too, The Sleepless in Seattle, Bewitched, and Julie and Julia. Stars Tom Hanks, who you obviously know, I feel like I shouldn't even need to say, but Forrest Gump, Philadelphia, Big, Saving Private Ryan, and a whole bunch of other stuff.
What's your favorite Tom Hanks movie?
I love Forrest Gump. I would say either Forrest Gump or Saving Private Ryan.
That's fair. Okay.
Also the father of Colin and Chet Hanks. Meg Ryan, which Colin Hanks is more Tom Hanks than Tom Hanks is. He just looks so much like him. It's unbelievable.
I know. I love him.
Meg Ryan, who was nominated for a Golden Globe for the film, who's also in When Harry Met Sally and Sleepless in Seattle. She's also the mother of Jack Quaid. Just a bunch of Nepo babies coming out of this movie.
Yep.
Also stars Greg Kinnear from Little Miss Sunshine, As Good as It Gets, and Mystery Men. And also, I pointed out already, but I was like, oh my God, Steve Zahn from That Thing You Do, and Heather Burns from Miss Congeniality.
Yeah.
Critics' consensus: great chemistry between the leads made this a warm and charming delight. Roger Ebert said that Ryan and Hanks have more winning smiles than most people have expressions.
True.
Eleanor Snow from Mr. Showbiz, a sweet sentimental romance that shrewdly capitalizes on the foolproof allure of its stars.
Yeah.
David K. from cinemaphile.org, there's no serious problem that would keep me from recommending the movie, but if you want a more organized, more serious, more humorous, and more organic film, watch the very similar Sleepless in Seattle.
Can't wait. Valentine's Day, baby. Let's go. Romance.
I'm just going to watch the same movie, I guess. Michael Wilmington from the Chicago Tribune. The whole movie goes bland and flat as a fast food knish or a blank computer screen.
That's such an interesting... Why knish? Why
right?
go knish? All right.
Very interesting comparison.
Yeah.
Michael O'Sullivan from the Washington Post. The film made me feel like a Christmas goose being fattened for slaughter. Its force-fed diet of whimsy cloyed long before the eagerly anticipated romantic payoff arrived to put me out of my misery. God damn, are you okay,
wow.
sir?
Sir, wow.
Ruth Stein from the San Francisco Chronicle. Every time You've Got Mail is about to choke on its own cleverness, it's resuscitated by its extremely likable, oh heck, let's just call them lovable stars.
Okay.
Charlotte O'Sullivan, Sight and Sound. You've Got Mail has much in common with Sleepless in Seattle, but ultimately pales by comparison. So you get both sides of it in these reviews. Lindsay Pugh, who this one was in 2018, so more recent, from Woman in Revolt. You've Got Mail is a messed up story of early 90s catfishing. Watch it for the city apartment style porn, but don't let the Efrons or Tom Hanks fool you. Joe is scum.
Wow, I disagree. I get it. I understand, but I think the movie does a really good job of pointing out that he's not a bad person. It's circumstantial. It is what it is. She's better off anyway. It all's well that ends well. It's fine.
I had to actively turn my mind off to like how much he is driving the capitalist machine to destroy her. But it makes you feel better if you just think about the fact that like Amazon definitely destroyed Fox and Sons bookstores anyway.
Exactly. Yep. Thank you. It all comes around.
It all comes full circle. It was just a snake eating its own tail.
Yep.
I feel like we didn't mention, and I do just want to mention that the children that Joe was with in the beginning, it's very weird that they are technically his aunt and brother.
Yeah.
Because his very, very old father and grandfather are still fucking people.
But I do think it also goes to highlight that he's not like that. He's a good person. He's a better Fox. Like, he isn't this like money hungry, I'm going to marry a supermodel, knock her up, and then divorce her for another supermodel. Like, he's a good person with a good heart. Thank you.
Yes, there's a scene with his father where he's saying, you know, well, you just want to find somebody that you can like spend the rest of your life with or something. And the father's like, have I ever done that? Like, the father's really like, I'm just trying to find the next hole to fill. I'm like, oh God.
Yes, exactly. Oh,
Principal Prickly, no.
Mail time! When you control the mail, you control information.
Mom asked me to ask you if there's any mail for us here by mistake.
What?
Okay, so we have a comment on National Lampoon's Vacation from Scotty Cameron.
Scotty.
Dylan can't be bribed, reasoned, or negotiated with on Venmo. Dylan just wants to watch Venmo burn. Which I believe is that's the Dark Knight. I think that he's paraphrasing. And that was our only comment. So
wow.
Light mail week, but we do have some email.
Before we get to the email, I do want to shout out Scotty Cameron for his bribe. I now have $2 in my Venmo account, one from Scotty Cameron, one from Keen Machine. So my heart is torn. This is really Sophie's choice over here. I don't know who's my favorite listener anymore.
Oh, Scotty, you wonderful fool, you. Don't you see what you've done? Now all that happens is an arms war where you both have to just start working your asses off because she's just going to want more.
Yeah, I mean, hell yeah. Come on, let's go. Keep the Venmos coming, guys.
What's the thing if you give a mouse a cookie? Isn't that it?
Yeah.
Which
I think it's more cookies? Like if you give a man a rope and they hang.
No, are you mixing this up with if you teach a man to fish versus if you give a man a fish?
Yes.
What did that have to do with a rope?
I don't know. Like it, like
what are you talking about?
You know that phrase, like if you give him too much rope, he'll hang himself.
Yeah.
It was kind of a hybrid of that. Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's my podcast.
It's our podcast.
Well,
to the email now. From Scotty Cameron.
Scotty!
On vacation. Gab's half favorite listener.
It's time.
For just $1 a day, you too can be Gab's favorite listener.
In the arms of the angels.
Okay. Scotty, hey Dylan and Gab, great show as always. Sadly, you're back to disagreeing on movies to watch before you die, and you just had a 3-way agreement last week, which was on Wag the Dog, spoilers. Yep. But hopefully you've listened to every episode before this.
In order, of course.
Yes, Dylan, I do watch National Lampoon's Vacation between installments of film series that butcher great comics. You just got the wrong movies. It's the Tim Story Fantastic Four movies, not the Michael Bay Transformers. I'm just kidding. I haven't seen Vacation. However, I have seen National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and that was a riot.
Yes.
Which I do feel like the resounding response that I got from people, going off of what Scotty had said as well, is a lot of people told me they thought Christmas Vacation is the funnier of the two.
I think it is. I think that when I watched Christmas Vacation, I had forgotten how much funnier that one. You know what I mean? Like in retrospect, I think I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm at a loss for words today.
So who knows? Maybe we'll have to revisit that well at some point, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I loved the comedy, particularly when Cousin Eddie abducts Clark's boss and brings him to the house. That whole bit makes me laugh every time. That's also when I realized that Clark Griswold worked for the Flying Dutchman in SpongeBob. Oh, I guess it's the same voice. It's the voice actor for the Flying Dutchman.
It's no,
Brian
that's
Doyle Murray?
Yeah, Brian Doyle Murray. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same voice actor.
I'm the Flying Dutchman. Yeah.
Which I did not put that together until this email just now.
That's funny.
I do like Chevy Chase on screen. His bits as Gerald Ford on SNL always make me laugh. I love John Candy, particularly in the film The Great Outdoors. A bit of a shameless plug here, but I was recently on the Joe on Joe podcast to discuss my favorite storyline from the G.I. Joe comics as part of Joe Slepsky's new phase of the show You on Joe. Show You on Joe. I think I fucked up the enunciation there. My bad. To discuss their favorite G.I. Joe title, character, etc. If you're interested, here's the episode, and it is G.I. Joe, America's Elite in Sheep's Clothing. Looking forward to the next episode. Sincerely, Scotty. Scotty, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link down below in the description. I pointed down, which only Gab can see, so Gab particularly knows that I am putting the link in the description below.
I can vouch for him that it will be there based on the direction he was pointing.
And if it's not there, my bad. But it's going to be there. I'm going to remember to do this, unlike when I forget to cut things out. On to the next email. We have an email from Vitz again. This one on Billie Jean's family vacation.
Good one.
Got a little caught up in life, so I'm giving a 2-for-1 thought on these movies in the controversial air date order, which just tells me that Vitz must be coming from the Jump on the Bandwagon podcast also. In order to keep this short, I'll try to keep each one brief. Starting with Vacation, I was never really a big fan of this movie, let alone cared for it, but rewatching the title, it does hold up pretty well for today. It really is a movie with a great script writing for comedy, as National Lampoon usually does. I personally wouldn't say that it's a movie to watch before you die, but there is a lot of mainstream culture and jokes that are still relevant to this day. There have been a few car commercials, Family Guy jokes, and one time in Clark, New Jersey, a sign was vandalized from Clark and Westfield to read Clark Griswold. Honestly, if I had to pick a movie from this franchise to see before you die, I think I would pick Christmas Vacation. But again, because of the social influence it has, rather than it being a super good movie, in my opinion.
Sure.
I will admit, I have personal bias against Christmas movies, but will die on the Die Hard and sequel Christmas movie hill. Other great road trip films that I think do better, Tommy Boy and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Love Tommy Boy. Have never seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
I've never seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles either.
Automobile. Maybe
I mumbled the shit out of that. You couldn't let that go, could you?
Nope, never. All right, maybe we have to watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Perhaps we do. And the Die Hard sequel is much more just like, it's Christmas. Like it's not at a Christmas party, but they're like, we're in an airport, it's Christmas.
Okay.
Like they're just very outright saying it.
Yeah, because it's a Christmas movie franchise.
Yeah, Die Hard 2 is not very good though. On to the legend herself, Billie Jean. Oh ho, Dylan. You may have thought that with my vast collection and knowledge of movies that I have never seen this movie. Yeah, you're right. Never heard of this one. And I must say, it was good. Which I'm totally putting all these inflections and hoping that this is. I hope that this is the way you mean it, Vince. Tell me if I'm ever like super wrong. I'm gonna cut out that total slur I had just there. I had a little bit of a mini stroke.
Wait, so Vitz actually went and watched this movie?
I think he watched both these movies. Vitz is more dedicated to this podcast than we are.
Honestly, Vitz, I mean, if you just Venmo me $2 you could be my favorite listener.
Quite frankly, it just needs to be $1.01, apparently.
Listen, Dill, don't short me here.
Where was I? You know what? I feel like it's a success that one more person has seen The Legend of Billie Jean.
Yeah, you're
fair
doing it.
Is fair. I really enjoyed this movie, but not want to say that this is something to watch before you die. Oh.
Wow. You really didn't read one further line and we're all excited.
Yeah, that's fine. I honestly was invested in it. It was a fun ride of youth rebellion, and to have a female lead was different from the norm, especially in the 80s. But a lot of the motivation of these characters seemed more out of, I'm bored, I'm just going to join, than any real motivation. I mean, that isn't that sort of what youth is?
Yeah, I mean, it was the 80s. Everyone was bored. They didn't have the internet.
Yeah, what were they going to do? There was no Tinder. They just had to
Yeah.
go up to people and go like, "Want a fook?"
Okay.
Yeah, that was the 80s version of Tinder.
Yeah.
That was also just more of a Broad City reference, but that reference has gone right past Gab. Where was I?
I was
in
on
this?
an episode of Broad City too, but I've never seen it.
No,
My
really?
episode or the show. Yeah.
Why haven't you seen it? It's a very good show.
I don't know.
Well, I recommend it.
Thank you.
Find out what episode you were in and tell me.
All I know is that I was walking around China. I was in a Chinese restaurant in Chinatown.
That's like 80% of the episodes.
Damn it. All right. Sorry.
Okay. Let's go into Putter's character and flush out her controlling and abusive mother, or Lloyd and his clearly absent father. I think this movie could have been better. I can't even think of a movie that comes close to something like this, even as a recommendation, except maybe Over the Edge. And I'm curious how this movie would have been received if it was made in the mid-90s versus the mid-80s. I do think, Vitz, just to combat you a little bit here, the fact that you can obviously tell about Putter's controlling and abusive mother and Lloyd's clearly absent father says that you get their characters enough to see why they would want to get away from home and why they would be willing to join such a movement.
Yeah.
Also, if this movie gets any longer, it's the perfect length. You cannot make Billie Jean 1 minute longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either way, it was a good movie. I enjoyed watching it. And isn't that the important thing with movies? Yes, it is.
Yeah. And you have one other person to say that you've gotten to see it. Honestly, Corey listened to the episode and said he wanted to watch it.
He should.
Yeah, we may.
I bought the Blu-ray because I was upset that my DVD was in full screen.
Oh my God.
Not sure how to end this one. Kevin Bacon. Vitz.
Nice.
P.S. I love that Barry Tubb, who played Hubie, did this movie right before he played Wolfman in Top Gun, one of my all-time top 10 movies, to deliver great lines such as, "This gives me a hard-on," and "Yeah, Maverick, just quit." And I beg of you, do not take either of those things out of context of me saying it, please. Oh my God, too many P's. PPS, postscript. Not sure if you should do the Hebrew Hammer as a holiday movie or an April Fool's Day joke, because that movie, oy vey.
I believe we already have locked down an April Fool's Day movie.
Yes.
But I am very excited to watch it for Christmas again. Although it sounds like we've got another Christmas movie we have to add to the list. But Christmas, I feel like, is a season. So
December,
we can do
we might have to just do Christmas movies for all of December.
Yeah.
That might be the move.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm so appreciative that he watched that movie. I almost don't care that he didn't agree with us.
It's fine that he disagrees with us. It's just the fact that he's listening means a lot, man. Means a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like in Zoolander when Hansel's talking about Sting. He doesn't really listen to his music, but the fact that he's out there and he's doing it, he thinks it's great.
Yes.
What a deep cuts reference I just made for that. And it didn't even really make sense. But you guys know that's what you're here for. Very deep cuts reference to movies that we just nostalgically love.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of movies that some of us nostalgically love, should we get to the You've Got Mail verdicts?
Let's do it.
Do or do not. There is no try.
The guilty will be punished.
Sentence is death.
Okay, Gab, being that this was your pick, why don't I let you give your verdict first so that I can continue to build on that suspense?
Well, Dylan, I will tell you this. I love this movie. I think it is a beautiful telling of two people that are just right for each other, who probably not or who probably without the ability to talk to one another anonymously. You see how I'm getting around saying that word that I can't say. Without the ability to speak to one another anonymously, probably never would have given the other a chance. So I think it's a really nice way of saying that sometimes you find love in some unexpected places, that the love of your life could be someone that on paper is your foil, and that at the end of the day, love will always win. I will say
you said that so tepidly.
Love will always win.
Wait, you gotta add the question marks like love will always win?
Love will always win. I definitely, it wasn't as overwhelmingly romantic as I had remembered. Like I said to you, there was really no huge payoff moment where it was like, oh my God. I got a little misty-eyed, but I didn't cry. And but so I was a little underwhelmed. I was expecting to have this like gut-wrenching love story unfold before me. But what I got was a very pleasant, charming love story in which two people begin a relationship. And I think it's a great, I don't think it's the greatest love story of all time, but I think it is a really nice way to spend 90 minutes. I think it's a fun, happy, upbeat movie where everything works out in the end. And I think it is a movie to watch before you die.
I appreciate that it's definitely not like it's not an overly schmaltzy chick flick, which is kind of what I was afraid of, that this was going to be the Notebook-esque, or like I'm trying to think of like Dear John, or like the last ride. Is that what that might be one of them, or that might be I don't know, I might have just made that up. But I know that like there was a month where I worked in movie theater where there was a bull riding chick flick movie. I think that might have been what it's called. I swear to God, this is a thing. Movie? I swear to God that she's like, I can't let you get back up on that bull. I swear to God.
Oh my God, it's like Tremors.
Yes, and like at the very end of the movie, he goes into like an auction house to get her back. It was weird, and I didn't pay enough attention.
Jesus Christ. All right.
You know, there's so many reasons for me to feel like I shouldn't like it. With the fact that he is this horrible capitalist monster, with the fact that he is grooming and catfishing her to an extent. But goddammit, it's just so charming. I wrote down, this is the charming marshmallow fluff of movies, and I don't think I'd be in a rush to watch it again. I'm not going to go out and buy it probably, but I'm going to say it's a movie to watch before you die. It's very, very charming. The cast is very charming.
It's so good. Yes. Oh my God. I was not expecting that at all. I thought, okay, so I had hope because Corey really liked it. And not that I think the two of you are like point for point, but you know, like sometimes I'm like, how did Giselle feel about it? So I like kind of can gauge. He was like, that was great. That was so nice. And I was like, yes, it was great. It was nice.
Yeah, I think she liked it a little less than I did, but damn it, Tom Hanks. That's all I can say. It's Tom Hanks, man. If you put anybody else in this role, I think that it's too much scum to rise to the surface. Tom Hanks, though, he just delightfully pushes it back down.
Yeah.
Like he makes you root for him, and it's like you basically drove her out of business and ruined her life. Like he should be a monster, and I'm like, nope, I still like him.
But what if, you know, I mean, if you think about this in like, what if it were real life, right? Like, what if the owner of a
if it were real life, that
like
person
a
would be far too hurt.
Goods. What? No, I don't know though. What if like you own, like you had this family shop, and you know it because it's kind of like society has been going in a direction where like mom and pop stores are not making it anymore because of things like Amazon. And I know this precedes that, right? But
yes,
like,
I don't think that makes it hurt any less. I also think that we shouldn't get too deep into like the real trauma of this movie, but I feel like I do think that one, there would be an immediate reaction of like, oh my God, you have been making a fool of me this whole time and lying to me this whole time also, because she really has like been made a fool of by him for a long time.
We're also assuming though that she, you know how like once we know that he knows it's her, you can see him start to open up to her and like obviously like kind of be I don't want to say flirting with her, but he's obviously like going out of his way to make sure that when she realizes it's him, she's happy. But yes. I think that if like given like we don't really know if she, because she immediately says I wanted it to be you, so obviously she is talking to this person hoping that it's him because she likes him. So yes. I think they probably would have maybe found one another anyway.
Yes, the big turning point scene is really when she's sick in the apartment and he comes there and he brings her the flowers, and you know, despite makes a little bit tea. Of resistance of like, she's kind of like, no, I'm sick, don't come up, and he like, you know, not in like an aggressive way or anything, but he's like, you know, no, let me help you out. And he's just so nice to her. And he forms a genuine friendship with her first. And I very much appreciated that he does just want to be her friend. And he does try and as himself, you know, put himself out there first. Like I said, if this was anybody else, I don't think it would have worked. And I feel stupid that I didn't point out, like we were saying, this is based on a former play and former movie, which Meg Ryan's shop is named after. The shop around the corner is the name of the original movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in that, so in that, I mean, the original play was from before a time of the internet. So like,
yes, they're sending letters. It's in the mail.
Yeah, got it.
You've got actual
mail.
mail.
Yeah. I wonder if Pony Express is here. I wonder if it would have been like creepy, like how it was received then. But anyway, I'm so glad you feel that way. We need to look at a calendar and figure out when Valentine's Day is, because I really want to do Sleepless in Seattle, because after I watched this movie, I did think it's so good, but Sleepless in Seattle is even better.
I believe Valentine's Day falls on February 14th this year, Cap.
I hate you.
I hate myself a little bit, but it was worth it.
You know what I mean.
Yes, I know what you mean. We will do that, and I will figure out what movie that I'm going to be putting forth for next week, and we will see you then. But until that time, if you want to send us some comments on what you think about You've Got Mail, or if you just want to talk to us about a movie we should be talking about, you can send us a message at...
Sorry, you didn't point.
I didn't point, right? That makes it hard.
Can you point?
Doesn't it? Movies to watch at... That's not it. Movies to watch before you die at...
gmail.com. Listen, do me a favor, all right? Dylan's out of his fucking mind. I want you to email movies to watch before you die at gmail.com. Let us know how you feel about this movie, any other movie we've discussed, any movie you want us to discuss in the future. You can leave us a voice message at anchor.fm/movies to watch, and you can Venmo me at...
Okay. Yes, you can send Gab all the Venmos you want. Thank you so much for listening, and come listen next week.
Have a great life. Damn.
Through the internet?
Yes.
You've got mail.
Yes.
Those are very powerful words.